Something strange started happening on my street about 8 months ago. Every night, at exactly 3:12 a.m., my neighbor leaves his house. Not 3:10, not 3:15, always 3:12. At first I thought he just had insomnia, but after a few nights I noticed something strange. He always walks in the same direction. So one night, I made the mistake of following him, and that's when I realized he already knew I was watching. I never used to check the time when I woke up in the middle of the night. Most nights I just roll over, pull the blanket up, and fall right back asleep. Didn't matter what time it was. But that changed about 8 months ago. Now, whenever I wake up, the first thing I do is reach for my phone, because if the screen lights up and it says 3:12 a.m., I already know what's happening outside, and I already know where my eyes are going next, straight to the window in my hallway, the one that faces the house across the street. My neighbor moved in during the middle of winter. I remember the day pretty clearly, because it was one of those mornings where the air is so cold you can see your breath. I had just stepped outside to grab the mail when I noticed a moving truck parked in front of the house across the street. 3 movers were carrying furniture inside. Boxes, lamps, a couch. Normal stuff, at least at first. But after standing there for a minute, something started to feel a little strange. It took me a moment to realize what it was. The movers weren't talking. Not once. No joking with each other. No complaining about the cold. No complaining about the weight of the furniture. Just silence. And they were moving fast. Faster than most movers I've seen. Like they were trying to finish the job as quickly as possible. Like they didn't want to stay there any longer than they had to. I stood there watching for a few minutes, then eventually went back inside. By the time the sun started going down, the truck was gone. The lights inside the house were on, but I still hadn't seen the guy who actually moved in. At the time, I didn't think much of it. Some people are private. Some people don't introduce themselves to neighbors. That's normal. So I went to bed. That night, I woke up suddenly. No loud noise. No bad dream. I was just awake. After a few seconds, I grabbed my phone. 3:12 a.m. I got up to get some water, and as I walked down the hallway, I passed a small window that looks out toward the street. That's when something caught my attention. My neighbor's front door was open, not wide open, just slightly, maybe 6 inches, and he was standing there, right in the doorway. From where I was standing, I couldn't see his face clearly. The streetlight behind him made him look like a dark outline, but I could tell he was tall, thin. His arms were hanging at his sides. He wasn't moving, just standing there for almost a full minute. Then he stepped outside, walked slowly down his driveway, turned left, and disappeared down the street. I stayed by that window for almost 20 minutes, waiting to see if he'd come back. He didn't. Eventually, I went back to bed and convinced myself it was nothing. Some people go for late night walks. Some people have trouble sleeping. That's normal. At least, that's what I told myself. The next night, it happened again. I woke up suddenly, reached for my phone. 3:12 a.m. Something about that already felt strange. But I still got up and walked to the hallway window. This time he was already outside, standing at the end of his driveway, not moving, just slowly turning his head, looking up and down the street, like he was checking to see if anyone was around. Then suddenly he stopped, and for just a second, he looked directly at my window. I stepped back immediately. My heart started beating a lot faster than it should have. The lights in my hallway were off, and I was standing far enough away from the glass that he shouldn't have been able to see me. But the way he looked at that window, it didn't feel random. It felt deliberate, like he already knew I was there. After a moment, he turned away, Then he started walking down the street again. Same direction as the night before. I didn't sleep for the rest of that night. And the next morning I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I ended up doing something that probably sounded a little obsessive. I started keeping a log, just to prove to myself that I wasn't imagining things. Night 1, 3:12 a.m., leave the house. Turns left, gone for 47 minutes. Night 2, 3:12 a.m. again, leaves the house. Turns left, gone for 52 minutes. Night 3, something changed. I woke up, grabbed my phone, walked to the window, and that's when I noticed something different. He wasn't alone. There was someone standing next to him, shorter than him, standing very close. From where I was, I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. They stood there for a few seconds. Then both of them started walking down the street and disappeared into the darkness. Neither of them came back that night. The next morning I watched his house while making coffee. His car was still in the driveway. The curtains were closed. No movement inside. No sign anyone had even been outside. That's when I started wondering something. Was I the only one who noticed this? Or had someone else on the street seen it too? Later that afternoon, I asked Mrs. Kaplan. She lives 2 houses down from me, and she's been on this street for almost 30 years. She knows everyone, notices everything. I asked if she had met the new guy across the street yet. She stopped walking, looked at me for a moment, then said something strange. I don't look at that house. Just like that, flat, like it was a rule she had made for herself. Then she picked up her mail, turned around, and went inside without another word. That was the moment I realized something. Something about that house wasn't normal. And whatever my neighbor was doing every night at 3:12 a.m., it definitely wasn't just a walk. A week later, I made a mistake. I decided to follow him. I know how that sounds. At the time, I told myself I was just curious, that I only wanted to see where he went every night. Nothing more than that. Just a quick walk to the corner of the street, just enough to see which direction he turned. That was the plan. That night, I stayed awake longer than usual, just lying in bed staring at the ceiling. Eventually, my eyes drifted to the phone beside me. 2:59 a.m., then 3:07, then 3:11. A minute later, my eyes open again, almost automatically. I reached for the phone. 3:12 a.m., right on time. I got up quietly and walked to the hallway window. Across the street, his front door opened, just like it always did, just a few inches. Then slowly, he stepped outside, walked down the driveway, turned left, and started down the street. I waited about 30 seconds. Then I slipped on my shoes, opened my front door as quietly as possible, and stepped outside. The street was silent. No cars, no wind, just a faint buzzing of a street light somewhere down the block. I walked to the corner, slowly, trying not to make too much noise. When I reached the end of the street, I looked down the road. He was there, about 100 meters ahead, walking at the same steady pace. Not fast, not slow, just steady, like he had all the time in the world. I kept my distance, walking near the parked cars, trying to stay in the darker parts of the street. He turned at the next block, then another, each time moving calmly, never looking back. For a moment, I actually started to relax. Maybe he really was just taking a walk. Maybe I had been overthinking this entire thing. Then suddenly, he stopped, right in the middle of the road. Just stopped walking, completely still. I froze, pressing myself against the side of a parked car, holding my breath. For a few seconds, nothing happened. He just stood there, not moving, not turning around, just standing in the street. Then slowly, very slowly, he turned his head, not his body, just his head, and looked directly back at me. Even from that distance, I could see something about his face was wrong. His eyes were open too wide, much too wide, like the muscles around them weren't working the way they should. Like his face didn't quite know how to look human. He didn't say anything, didn't move toward me, didn't even blink. He just stared. I turned around and started walking back home, quickly, but not running. Some part of my brain told me that running would make things worse. So I walked fast, trying not to look back, trying not to imagine him standing there behind me, still watching. When I got home, I locked the door immediately, all 3 locks. Then I turned on every light in the house and sat on the couch, just sitting there, waiting for morning. That was 3 weeks ago. He still leaves every night, exactly 3:12 a.m. And the strange part is, now I wake up at that time automatically. No alarm, no sound. My body just does it every single night, like it knows something is about to happen. I don't follow him anymore. I don't even go to the hallway window. When I wake up, I just stay in bed, staring at the ceiling, waiting for the moment his door closes again. But 2 nights ago, something changed. I woke up suddenly, reached for my phone. 3:12 a.m. I stayed in bed, told myself I wasn't going to get up. I was done with this, done watching, done thinking about him. I closed my eyes, tried to go back to sleep. Then I heard something. Footsteps, outside, slow, heavy, walking across my driveway. My eyes opened immediately. I stayed perfectly still, listening. The footsteps moved closer, then stopped right outside my front door. Then nothing, just the silence. I lay there in the dark, completely still, for what felt like a very long time. Eventually exhaustion took over, and somehow I fell asleep. The next morning, I went outside. The driveway looked normal. No footprints, no tire marks, nothing out of place. For a moment, I actually felt relieved. Maybe I had imagined it. Maybe it had just been a dream. Then I looked at the door, my front door. The one I had locked with all 3 locks before going to bed was open, just slightly, maybe 6 inches, exactly the way his door always looks, every night at 3:12 a.m. And now I understand something. Something I wish I didn't understand. He knows I've been watching, and whatever he does out there in the dark every night, I don't think he's looking for strangers anymore. I think he's looking for me.